When I woke up, my own reflection didn't recognize me. The light above the hospital bed was too bright, humming softly. My throat felt raw, my lips cracked. A nurse leaned over me and smiled gently. "Welcome back," she whispered. "You've been asleep for a while." My voice came out broken. "How long?" "Almost 3 months, sweetheart, 3 months." The words echoed through my mind. The last thing I remembered was driving home from work in the rain, headlights, a horn, and then nothing. But I didn't know the real story yet. I didn't know that while I was lying there between life and death, someone else had quietly stepped into my life. My twin sister, Mara. Before the accident, things were simple. I had a small but steady life, a husband, David, and our 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Mornings smelled of coffee and toast, evenings of shampoo and bedtime stories. Mara and I were identical twins, but never identical souls. She was the bright one, the bold one, always chasing adventure. I was the quiet one, building a home, collecting peace instead of thrills. We loved each other deeply, but there was always a thin thread of competition between us, one we never named out loud. When I got married, she laughed and said, "You're really doing it, huh?" Settling down. I thought she was teasing. I didn't know there was envy behind the smile. The first time she came to the hospital, I was still weak, barely able to move. She looked perfect, hair brushed, skin glowing, wearing one of my old sweaters. "Oh, Ellie," she cried, taking my hand. "You scared us." It warmed me, her presence. She visited often, sometimes with Lily. But David's visits grew shorter. "Mara's helping a lot," he'd say. "With the house, with Lily. She's been amazing." I told myself to be grateful. I was lucky to have a sister who cared so much. But when I finally came home, things felt different. The house smelled of someone else's perfume. Furniture was rearranged. New curtains, my clothes were moved to another closet. And there in the kitchen, wearing my apron and flipping pancakes, was Mara. "Morning, sleepyhead," she said lightly, like nothing was strange. David smiled from the table. "You wouldn't believe how much she's helped. Lily's been happier with her around." I smiled back, but inside something cracked. That night, I found her jacket hanging by the door. My jacket, the one David had given me for Christmas. Her perfume clung to it. A small unease rooted itself in me, quiet but sharp. Days turned into weeks. The feeling grew. Lily mentioned things without realizing their weight. "Daddy and Auntie M dance in the kitchen when I go to bed," she said once while coloring. I froze. "They do?" "Yeah," she giggled. "To the song you like." That night I heard it myself. The music, the laughter. I crept halfway down the stairs and saw them. My husband's hands on my sister's waist, her head tilted back, smiling. They swayed to our song. For a moment I couldn't move. I just watched the life that used to be mine, being lived by someone else. When I finally spoke, my voice came out thin. "David." They froze. Mara's face turned pale. "Ellie, you should be resting." I stepped closer. "What are you doing?" "It's not what it looks like," David stammered. I laughed, hollow, disbelieving. "Then what is it?" Mara's eyes filled with tears. "It just happened. You were gone. We didn't know if you'd wake up, so you replaced me," I whispered. "No. I was just trying to keep things together." I looked at her, the person who shared my face, my memories, my family, and felt something inside me close like a door. "You didn't keep my life together," I said. "You stole it." That night, I packed a bag and left. I stayed with my mother. She was quiet when I told her what happened, her eyes full of something between sorrow and fury. "She always wanted what you had," she said softly. I thought she'd learned better, but I wasn't angry yet. Just hollow, the kind of hollow that echoes when you breathe. David tried calling. I ignored him. Mara sent messages full of apologies, explanations that sounded like excuses. I didn't mean to fall for him. I was just trying to help. But some things can't be undone. A few weeks later, I went back to collect my things. David was there, sitting on the edge of the couch like a man waiting for judgment. "How long?" I asked. He sighed. 2 months. So while I was still in a coma, he looked away. It wasn't planned, we were just broken. I stared at him. "You were broken. I was dying. There's a difference." He didn't try to stop me when I left. Word spreads quickly in small towns. My family knew, our friends knew. Mara tried to pretend everything was normal, showing up at gatherings with David like they could rewrite the past through smiles. But silence followed them everywhere. Even our mother stopped speaking to her for months. I focused on Lily. She was the only piece of my life I still recognized. We created our own small routines in my new apartment: Sunday pancakes, walks by the river, bedtime stories about brave girls who found their way home. One night, she asked me softly, "Mommy, are you mad at Auntie Em?" I hesitated. "No, baby, I'm just sad." She squeezed my hand. "You're still my mom. Nobody else is." That simple truth broke me open in the gentlest way. Months later, David called. We met at a small cafe near the park, the same one where we'd had our first date. "Mara moved out," he said quietly. "She couldn't live with the guilt." I nodded. "Did you think it would work?" He shook his head. "No, it wasn't love, it was grief." We sat in silence. Then he said, "I'm sorry for everything." "I know," I said, "but sorry doesn't rebuild a life." He nodded, tears gathering at the corners of his eyes. "You were always stronger than me." "No," I said, "I just stayed awake." When I left the cafe, the air was cool and still. For the first time in months, I felt the quiet inside me wasn't emptiness anymore. It was peace. Time passed. Healing came like sunlight through clouds. Soft, patient. Mara tried again and again to reach out. I ignored her at first. Then one day I listened to her voicemail. "I didn't take your life because I wanted it," she said, her voice trembling. "I took it because I didn't know how to live mine." I cried when I heard it, because for the first time I understood her, not her choices, but her brokenness. Forgiveness didn't come all at once. It came in small steps, deleting anger instead of feeding it, praying for her peace even when I didn't feel my own. Finally, I called her. "I can't forget," I told her, "but I don't want to hate you anymore." She sobbed quietly. "I don't deserve that." "Maybe not," I said, "but you're still my sister." When we met months later, she looked different, softer. She handed me a small box. Inside was my wedding ring. "I thought it should be with you," she said. I turned it over in my palm. The metal was scratched, dulled, but still whole. "Thank you." She looked at me with wet eyes. "I ruined everything you loved." "No," I said. "You only proved how strong love can be, because even after all this, I'm still standing." We sat together, quietly. Two women who shared a face but not the same mistakes. I built a new life, a small apartment filled with plants and laughter, a rhythm that's mine again. Lily's growing up fast. She loves painting now, always drawing hearts and rivers. Sometimes when I catch my reflection, I see the faintest trace of her, my twin. And I realize I don't hate that anymore. She's part of my story even if she broke it once. I learned that losing your life doesn't always mean dying. Sometimes it means watching someone else live it and deciding to start over anyway. Now, when I walk by the river, I think about how water never stays still. It just keeps moving forward, no matter what's fallen into it. And I try to do the same. Would you have forgiven her? Tell me in the comments. And if my story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe and share. Because sometimes, the hardest stories to tell are the ones that save someone else. We never know what tomorrow brings. Join me for the next story. Thanks.